Welcome back, everybody. This is your three-man booth. Your host, Dan Salem, and co-hosts Phil and Bud. Section 323 podcast now on BuzzChomp. How are you guys? It's been a wild week of football with preseason still.
It's crazy.
For as much as these starters don't play these games and they played nothing, there's no shortage of storylines, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're going to try to cover as many of these bombshells as possible here with the season kicking off in about a week's time, depending on when you're watching.
10 days.
10 days from the recording of this video session.
Oh, it's true.
So if you're live, it's been 10 days. It'll be 10 days. If you're watching later, it may be only a single day. But so you said you watched a video of Rob Gronkowski today. He's one of our bigger bombshells, as we all knew he had a pending news conference, and we didn't really know what was going to come of it. Well, you said he was crying?
Yeah, he got like real emotional about how football was taking the fun out of life, and he just wasn't enjoying like living and all of this other stuff. It sounds very similar to what Andrew Luck said when he retired on Saturday. It's just kind of strange how these young players now, it's kind of this trend, right? Like you make a lot of money and then you don't have to play anymore. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, they weren't making as much money, and these guys were playing through injuries, and they were playing, and they were playing, and they were playing. And Andrew Luck's made $100-something million, and at 29, he says, all right, I'm good. You know, it's a whole different kind of philosophy, and it also goes to show you how grueling a sport it is and how much it takes out of you. I mean, first off, Gronk looks like a shell of himself. We picture him as this big muscle. He's like skinny, and he just looked not like the tight end that played for the Patriots that was so dominant for all those years.
Okay, so can I interject a question? Do you think there's any chance he comes back then the way he looked today?
No, zero. He would have to put on like 40 pounds of muscle, 30 pounds of muscle. He looks skinny. He looks skinny, like it's a different kind of workout. You know what I mean? He's not bulk.
So Phil teased that he thought he might go from professional wrestling. It doesn't sound like he's ready for that either.
About this time last year, that was kind of the thought, and everyone knew he was retiring. And he's got some good friends that are in that business, and they're like, well, that's just a natural thing, because a lot of athletes have crossed over. A lot of football players actually, when they're done with their career, they go over and work in whatever industry, whatever wrestling industry or whatever wrestling promotion they choose. It's not uncommon, and everyone just thought it was a natural because Gronk's got so much charisma. He's got so much, crowd enthusiasm. So I didn't see what he looked like, but from Bud's description, he sounds like that might not be a possibility. But on the other side,
doing something with like
it's a different type of physique though. You don't have to be all jacked up like Hulk Hogan anymore. Yeah. You can be really like toned down and just ripped, zero body fat kind of thing to do something like that anymore.
Oh, is he getting into CBD? He said he's getting into CBD.
Yeah, he had some sort of CBD T-shirt and backdrop of CBD something or other. I have.
Well, that's the natural healing trends, which he wasn't allowed to use during his career. So which is
interesting because that's now obviously banned on the list of NFL substances. And you got to think with this new collective bargaining, we were watching a little bit this morning. That doesn't expire until the end of next season, 2020. So you have another 2 years. That has to be one of the concessions that the owners, I think, will end up making. That there's all these studies that it helps more than it hurts. Why, if you're going to make us play more games or whatever they end up doing, if they get that concession, I think a lot of people will be a lot happier. And Bud goes, they're just going to play stoned all the time. But I don't necessarily think that's going to happen.
Let me make a clarification. CBD is very different than cannabis. CBD does not.
No, I know.
So CBD is legal. CBD is legal.
Not in the NFL though.
But not at the NFL. So that's an obvious one because it's legal. Right. Now, for them to allow them to take cannabis in legal states kind of makes sense to me, especially since it has such strong healing properties as compared to opiates, which are addictive and destructive. But CBD is already legal. I don't know why they wouldn't just let them take that. That's got natural healing without the other side effects that could be controversial. So
I mean, it's probably like if you open up the door for one, then you're just going to open up the door for all. But I'm not in those discussions.
They go hand in hand, but they're not the same. Yeah.
They're going to need to figure something out because these preseason games are completely unwatchable. They're useless. They're borderline awful football. And with the new collective bargaining agreement, the owners are going to have to make a concession. The players are going to have to make a concession. They're going to have to figure out how to add either more games to the season and add another bye or extend the playoffs and all this other stuff, because what's going on here with players getting hurt and I watched a quarter and a half of that Jets game against the Saints. There were 31 accepted penalties. 31. It's unwatchable. It doesn't matter who's even in the game. The scrubs are in the game at the end. You can't watch it because of the scrubs, and you can't watch it because you're watching the officials just throwing yellow flags the whole game. It was awful. It was awful to watch. The game was like almost 4 hours long. It's preseason football.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I think they're definitely going to drop at least one preseason game. I don't know if they'll add a regular season game or a playoff week for this next round of bargaining.
The owners got to make up whatever revenue they're going to lose by preseason games. But by the way, the only revenue they're making on these preseason games is the season ticket holders, because the stadiums are half empty.
So they're less than half.
Look at Phil. You have to pay for your preseason games, right, Phil? And you don't go to preseason games; they're useless.
Well, it's part of the TV package. So they're making money from TV that people don't watch.
Yeah.
No. People still watch because it's football. We just like to complain about it, how bad it is. But I watched it. You watched it. Bud, we all watched it.
Yeah, and I was at a bar and I watched the Patriots preseason game on my birthday because it was on TV.
Right. So it's football. It's on. It's going to watch. And going back to that Jets game, but how did the Jets defense look on that first series against Drew Brees?
No, we're not going to talk about that today.
Don't get me started, dude. You just spent 48 hours with me. You should probably know how I feel.
That's your podcast, because I want to talk about some of the bombshells. That was more of an expected outcome. So, so Gronk's not coming back. Maybe that's not a bombshell, but his teary-eyed thing. I want to make a quick analogy before we talk about another player, because as an actor, it's easy to love acting when you can act and it's just for fun. And these guys loved football when they were just playing for fun, right? But when it becomes a profession, you got to deal with all the business BS and contracts and ownership and management and marketing. And then it's a job, and it can lose its fun factor. As an actor, when you make your millions, you can go ahead and make your own movie and make it fun again. These guys don't have that option as a football player. They can't just go play football for fun again. And so it doesn't surprise me when they can step aside at the top of their game and still feel good about where they're at in life. I mean, Andrew Luck's not going to be hard-pressed to get a job. Same with Gronkowski.
Well, if you look at the comparison between those two guys, they're both injury. They have a huge injury past with a lot of rehabilitation, a lot of games missed. And I think they're obviously the two most high-profile ones. I don't know if we're going to see this going forward. Like Bud said, these guys make so much more money now, and they play a couple of years and be like, hey, I'm set for 4 lifetimes. But why do I have to put myself through this? Some guys are going to be in there, like Brett Favre played till he almost couldn't walk because he loved the game. So you're going to have players that just do it for the love of the game. Yeah. And then you have players like that who might see it as a money grab, unfortunately.
Well, so I don't know if you guys –
Hopefully not, though. Hopefully not.
Did either of you deal with an injury playing sports at all?
Oh, I tore my MCL in high school. I mean, we're going back, decades now.
Yeah. Well, no, I broke a toe, and I broke my ankle, and it's like rehab sucks. Like it really sucks.
Those 6 weeks of my rehab was miserable. I couldn't walk for 6 weeks. It was miserable.
When I played rugby for one season in college, and I got hurt and was on crutches and just stood there at the games, and I was like, I didn't play after that. I was like, what's the point? It wasn't fun anymore, and then I couldn't participate and had to watch them. So if you're a multimillionaire, I get it, but I was still shocked by Andrew Luck. I mean, I know he was dealing with all these injuries, and he probably wasn't going to start the year, but
yeah. Well, one of the guys we were watching this morning, who was the guy, Bud? The big offensive lineman. And he's like, basically he said,
Damian Woody.
Woody. He goes, I know what I signed up for when I signed up to play these games. I know down the line there may be, repercussions for playing this for whatever ailments we have going forward. But he goes, I know what I signed up for. And you got to hope that everyone else is doing the same thing. Like,
well, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think he understands what he signs up for, but I also think that he's a pretty smart guy, went to Stanford, and probably thinks, well, I want to be able to walk and enjoy my kids. And
well, do you think if he wasn't hurt for the last 2 seasons with major injuries that he would be here?
He wasn't hurt.
Not, but I mean, the only thing that I don't want to see in this whole situation is that, like, a year from now, he decides, okay, I feel better now. I want to come back and play.
But that could certainly happen.
It could certainly happen, but he also could have certainly been put on IR this year and kept the roster spot and then came back next year instead of doing this whole runaround. Now, I'm not saying that he did it because of whatever. I mean, I don't like the timing of it. I mean, if he thought that he was going to retire in the summer, he probably should have retired in the summer, because Jacoby Brissett hasn't really gotten much use. You know what I mean? And I don't feel. I mean, Dan, you picked them to be in the Super Bowl, I think.
I did because of him, and now, I mean, obviously that was a bad pick.
You know what? A lot of people picked the Colts to be in the Super Bowl, and I don't know how you feel, but I don't feel comfortable with Jacoby Brissett as my quarterback. And now he could be great, but he's not Andrew Luck.
No, I mean, does that mean that they're going to start calling, like, what's his face? Who got? There's some cast-offs floating around out there. I mean, hell, Mark Sanchez could choose to unretire. Like,
God, no,
I mean, that's probably not going to happen. But
not going to happen.
So for Luck's saying, like, he was either going to get harsh criticism for not playing or be expected to play through this injury, and he wasn't going to be up to his best. I don't know. He must have been pretty hurt. That's all I can figure. Like, he must have been hurt. He probably wasn't going to be able to start week 1, and he's dealt with this multiple times. It's just a shame. You're right. I don't think the Colts – Brissett was a third stringer for the Patriots. I don't know what else he has to offer. I don't know. I mean,
how much do you think is the Colts' fault? Because, I mean, I look at it like the Colts came out and they said, oh, well, it's in a calf. And then they came out and said, oh, it's an ankle sprain. Oh, it's 4 different things. Same thing happened with the shoulder. It was one thing, and then it was another thing. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, he's done. You know what?
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he was tired of the Colts lying about his injuries because they've been doing it all along. They were stringing it along. Oh, he can't play. And maybe he didn't want to do it to the fans. I don't know. Do it to his family. I don't know.
It just seems like it's not a waste of talent, but, I mean, he's so young. I mean, and the Colts were legitimate contenders this year.
Yeah, I always believed he'd win a Super Bowl in his career, but it's not obviously not. So.
No, I just think that it's a shame because the NFL probably could have used it. I mean, I'm just so tired of Tom Brady winning.
Yeah, well, I still believe that he won't, but I really don't know who's going to topple him now. So who was Jacksonville's quarterback? It was Bortles, right?
Was Bortles. It's Nick Foles now.
Right. Is Blake Bortles a better option than Brissett?
No.
Oh, okay. That was an easy.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think it's pretty. No.
Brissett is still surrounded by really good talent. Marlon Mack in the backfield. He's still got T.Y. Hilton. He's still got one of the best offensive lines, like we were talking about the other day. He's still got Quentin Nelson, the second-year guard. They still have a pretty good team around him. So
defense is going to be better,
right?
So what about Teddy Bridgewater? Because the Saints are just sitting on him.
But Teddy Bridgewater they signed Teddy Bridgewater to an extension as like the heir apparent. Now I don't know what the Saints are going to do with Hill because they use Hill in multiple packages and they don't use Teddy Bridgewater at all. Maybe there's a reason for that. I'm not sure, but
Taysom Hill's a pain in the ass for fantasy. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you what. Drew Brees, he's played one series this whole preseason against the Jets. It's the only and he went down the field in 3.5 minutes and scored a touchdown. There's nothing wrong with Drew Brees.
He's fine.
Drew Brees' problem is that he's fine until about mid-October, and then he's on shaky ground because you don't know if he can hold it together the whole game. They probably work in more of those packages, but he's still playing great. I agree, top of his game.
If Taysom Hill vultures any more touchdowns from Kamara this year, I'm going to be pretty pissed. I'm not going to lie.
I can guarantee you Sean Payton's going to mix it up as much as necessary.
No, I know, and I know what's going to happen. He's going to take them, and he's going to be QB sneaks or QB end-arounds, and it's just going to make me insane. I know it happened last year. It's going to happen
again. Why don't you just start both players?
No, I'm not starting Taysom Hill. No, thanks. I'm all set.
So I'm going to keep diving down the Andrew Luck rabbit hole here. Josh McCown unretired to be the backup for the Eagles, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Looked pretty good in preseason too.
These are all options to start for the Colts if they're willing to trade.
But I think they traded for Brissett, right? If I'm not mistaken. So they feel like that's their guy. So they're bringing in McCown or
he felt like he was the guy as a backup.
Well, but now he's the starter though. I mean, but they traded for him, didn't they trade the Patriots or did he sign as? I don't remember.
No, they traded for him from.
All right. So at least they see some value in him if they were going to give up whatever they gave up for him. It's not like they just sign him off the street.
No, that's a fair point.
So there's this debate and well maybe not so much of a debate, but all the rumblings about Kaepernick and everything now.
Oh yeah.
There was a fake story going around last night.
Yeah, we were at the draft that they had signed him, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Kaepernick has kept himself in playing shape.
He says that he has, and listen, I'm not a political guy, but I mean, maybe he just isn't a very good quarterback.
He's not.
He might not be
for years.
It's easy to say that you are when no one's calling for your services, but he hasn't played in too many seasons either. Like the NFL's completely changed. He was successful.
But that's what Bud's saying with Le'Veon Bell. He hasn't played since last Christmas, and Kaepernick hasn't thrown a ball in 3 years now almost. So.
I would say when Kaepernick was excelling, that type of quarterback was excelling. That type of quarterback is not excelling anymore. Le'Veon Bell's running style is still excelling. So
yeah, but I'm just saying
Le'Veon Bell hasn't taken a hit in a year and a half, and I'm legitimately concerned that he's going to get popped the first game, and he's going to pop a hamstring or whatever. I mean, you got that smirk on your face. You think I'm being pessimistic?
I am not.
I get it, but I'm right.
No. The thought has entered my mind. I'm not going to lie, but I have enough faith in the Jets coaching staff that they prepared him in practice. Now you can't compare to game situations, but I'm going to try to hope that doesn't happen because it could happen to anybody. Obviously, he's vulnerable.
And that's almost a good segue if you're all set with the luck rabbit hole. I mean, that's a perfect segue to move over to Zeke, because Zeke was offered the second highest paid running back in the league behind Gurley. I don't know the exact number, so I don't know if they're 3 or 4 million apart, whatever it is. But Zeke hasn't taken a simulated snap or a simulated hit or anything like that. He's training with who? What were they talking about this morning? But he's training with Marshall Faulk. Right. But we were saying you can run all the routes you want and pretend like you're cutting and stuff, but until a defender's in your face and you have to cut the other way, you're not in game shape like that. You're not ready to go yet. You can simulate all you want and run on a field.
It'll hurt him for week 1, but he's going to sign the contract. I'm sure they're working out the bonus particulars.
But what's the benefit of waiting longer? Because if you sign today, you're not playing preseason week 4.
Well, I gotta ask you guys, because we all agree that the preseason's a joke, but yet we all feel it's valuable to take hits.
It is. There's some value in it. It's just.
But there are other ways to do it. All these teams now are doing inter-club scrimmages where there's minimal contact, no hits to the quarterback. But you're still getting live play. You're still getting to be able to read other people's defenses in a non-contact way, and then there's contact and then there's non-contact. I would rather Le'Veon Bell have played 2 series or 1 series of football, and I would have been okay. At least he took a hit. You know what I mean? It's these. He could have played 2 plays, and at least he would have taken a hit. It's just there's no need for these guys to go out and play meaningless football games. Lamar Miller, who was going to be the starting running back for the Texans, gets popped in the knee in the first quarter, and his season's done.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about him. How much does that hurt the Texans? They got a legitimate backup in Duke Johnson that could step in, but Miller was their cow.
It'll hurt, but the whole offense goes through Deshaun Watson anyway, and he uses his feet a lot. So he was a decent, serviceable running back last year. I mean, he wasn't anything outstanding. So. And Duke Johnson's better out of the backfield catching balls. Lamar Miller was not good at catching balls out of the backfield. So if they're going to utilize that kind of offense and spread the offense out a little bit, that's more beneficial for them.
Well, unless that offensive line play gets any better, Deshaun Watson was sacked, 50 or 60 times last year?
63 times last year.
Right, the most in the history of the NFL. They don't get that line situated. I don't care who's running behind the line. So any running back's going to get swallowed up.
He got sacked the most times in history, and they still – won 11, 12 games and made playoffs.
They went 10. I think they went 10.
Was it 10 last year? Okay.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They're going to be good. They're going to be a good football team, but they're going to be a good football team because their offense is going to put up decent points and their defenses are going to give up any points.
Yeah.
So Jadeveon Clowney still hasn't reported to camp either yet right now.
There's a rumbling going around that the Dolphins are going to trade for him. That's the last thing that I heard. I just read it on Yahoo.
That makes no sense because they've been cutting all their veterans.
It makes 0 sense. The 49ers just cut their linebacker, Smith, I think.
Oh.
Now the Jets need a linebacker. You have no Avery Williams. Again, another boneheaded play by the Jets, having your starters in there in a meaningless second quarter of a preseason game.
You know what I noticed?
Gase admitted it.
Yeah, well, so I was watching the Patriots preseason game, and they had one of their primary defensive starters in with all the backups in the second quarter also, for like an extra series. And he came out and he didn't get hurt. So I was like, I don't know why they did it, but I think it's tough.
It's probably just to get more reps in. I mean, you can only practice a certain amount of time, and like we've just been saying, you can't simulate game action until you actually get in a game situation.
You know what's because I feel like the first month of the season, September, is like preseason football now too. And it's because these guys need a month of games to get to a point where they can play without getting hurt. So like whether it's in August, September, or October, whenever that period of play takes place, they need it, and the injury risk is much higher. So I agree. In September, the injury risk is high for Zeke and Bell because they didn't play in August. Some of these guys, they got hurt in August. I don't know.
But week 3 used to be the showcase week, right? Week 3 used to be, well, the starters are going to play into the third quarter.
Yeah.
And you're going to see more real-time game action.
Not anymore.
Brees played one series.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold played a quarter and one series into the second quarter. The starters for the Packers and the Raiders, which was a complete joke that they had to play on an 80-yard field. The NFL should be embarrassed. Both teams pulled every single one of their starters out. 31 players out of the game, gone.
Yeah.
They didn't even dress them. They all brought them to play. None of them played. So you're not even getting real game action in the game anymore.
This speaks to why I'm not concerned about players not participating in the preseason at all, because all the coaches are trying to have their starters play as little as possible. So if they're trying to have them play as little as possible, it doesn't bother me if someone doesn't play. It just really ruins September football. It makes it impossible to bet. It makes all the things we love, like fantasy, hard to know because September football is preseason football. But it doesn't give me concern for these garbage games. You just hate to see the injuries. I'm going to use that.
It's unwatchable. They're unenjoyable to watch.
Yeah. So Cam Newton, another one. He was in. I don't know why he was in. He got hurt. Different injury.
Nope.
What's your guys' take? Are you worried about Newton? And they say
I can't stay healthy, and Phil knows how I feel about it, and I think you do too, Ken. I'm not a huge Cam Newton fan. After the game, he was walking around with a scarf around his neck, like scarf era. I mean, I don't get what he's about, but he shouldn't have been in the game at all. He's in a walking boot. They said maybe he'll play week 1, probably not.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a high ankle sprain, which they haven't disclosed whether or not it is, that's 4 weeks. You're looking at week 3. Yeah. Carolina's not going to be that great to begin with.
One could make the case that Lamar Miller and maybe a couple people that got dinged up, there's been no major string of injuries like I feel like there has been in the past. It's been relatively quiet within the last week. Mostly the fact that none of these guys are playing. Again, I don't want to see Saquon Barkley take a snap. I don't want to see him step on the field for that exact reason, which is probably why we're not seeing all these guys getting injured like we have in the past.
Do you know who the backup quarterback is for the Carolina Panthers? Any of you? I just looked it up. I'm looking it up in my book. I'll give each of you $100 if you could tell me.
Let me see. Let me think if I can think.
It used to be Jake Delhomme, right? Or
Jake Delhomme was 20 years ago, dude.
That's why I can't remember.
It's
Will Grier?
I never would have guessed.
IER?
Never heard of him.
Greer, maybe? I don't even know.
Greer, yeah, Greer. Yep.
Greer? Okay. I apologize to Will Greer for butchering his name. Listen.
That's a trick question, Dan. He didn't even have $100.
No, yeah.
No, I don't have $100.
Yeah,
you weren't seeing it anyway.
Put more on the line. I don't have my phone.
You understand my point. They're not going to be very good if he's going to be out for an extended period of time.
Well, so, Phil, you said no major injuries. I mean, I think the Newton one's big because I like the Panthers with a healthy Newton. He got a new injury. He's going to be 50 all season now. I don't trust them for crap.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying I feel like there's been a couple of years in the past where it was every day ACL, another day ACL, not something else. Like it was a string of injuries. Besides Lamar Miller and Cam Newton, which just happened, we've been relatively injury-free for the most part in this preseason.
Yeah.
And it's not even the preseason games. Teddy Bridgewater's knee shattered in practice. Garoppolo's knee was destroyed. Was that in a preseason game or was
that was a regular season game? It was week.
All right, that was like the first play of regular season. All right, I feel like luckily we haven't had the rash of injuries. Yeah, we've had a couple, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen in the regular season too.
Yeah. Well, so are you worried for week 1 then? Like,
for who?
For the injuries, because they always happen.
As long as they don't happen to my team, it's
yeah.
Barkley's not playing a single snap, and
he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him.
Bell's not playing a single snap.
Barkley's like 22 years old. Bell's almost 30. So
he's not playing a single snap. Melvin Gordon's not playing a single snap.
Melvin Gordon might not play a single snap all year. And the more you hear about this situation in LA, I mean, you're in the thick of it, Dan. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think he's playing. I think he's very ready to sit out the whole year like Le'Veon did last year.
I do too, and I think he'll cash out on another team's contract out in the offseason.
Which is weird because is he worth what's the pulse of the LA market out there?
But they're just going to franchise him after this year because his contract's up. It's going to be a Bell situation. The only reason why Bell could walk is because they couldn't franchise him so many years in a row.
Yeah. So I think that the pulse is Melvin Gordon is a great player, but he never is on the field enough.
He's getting hurt
to warrant the money he's asking for. The Chargers aren't going to pay him. Like, they're not going to pay him what he wants because I think they were willing to give him a new deal that was more commensurate with maybe the percentage of time he's actually on the field versus his skill level. Like, at least Zeke could say he's never been injured. Like,
right, but Zeke also has 2 years left on his rookie deal, and then they can franchise him 2 more times after that. So, he had that
4 more years.
Right, so he had that quote today about I want to be a Cowboy for life, and even Emmitt Smith moved on to a different team. He's essentially locked up in Dallas for 4 years if they wanted to.
Putting myself in Gordon's shoes, so he has been known to be injured, right? If he rests his body for an entire year, that just ups his value because he's coming in even healthier than he's ever been. Somebody's going to pay him.
Yeah, but Le'Veon Bell thought the same thing, and he left money on the table. He would have made a lot more money if he played last year.
No, he would have made more playing for the Steelers, but you never know what else would have happened. I mean, and he's got a long-term deal. He wanted a long-term contract. The Steelers weren't going to give it to him, by all accounts. I don't know if maybe I'm wrong, but
I mean,
no, they gave him an offer. They gave him an offer. He didn't take it.
The Chargers are going to be another one of those teams like the Colts. Like, if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, what is that offense going to look like? You still have Phillip Rivers, you still have Keenan Allen, you still have Hunter Henry. I mean, those are still legitimate, but who's going to Is Austin Eckler really the answer at running back?
We're going to find out.
I think the Chargers were just as good, if not a little better, without Melvin Gordon last season. Now, it was obviously in limited situations, so a team could step it up for a week here or a week there. I agree. It makes it iffy. In Bell's defense, I'm not sure that the Steelers are a great team to play for, and I'm not sure that he actually just wanted to be – I think he wanted out, just like Antonio Brown wanted out, and he took his opportunity to leave.
Did you read Big Ben's quote about Antonio Brown today?
No, I did not. Can you
so he was asked something along the lines of, what have you learned or something? And he said, well, I look back at that situation and I didn't handle it properly, calling out the wide receivers, and I lost a friend for it. And Antonio Brown came back out and said, we ain't friends.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I mean.
Yeah, who knows who's telling the truth and who's lying. Yeah. I don't get the impression that Ben Roethlisberger is a fun guy to play for and play with, but that could just be me.
A hell of a quarterback. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And you know what? If the Jets had picked him, we would have been.
I don't know. He bounced back from injury as a Steeler. Who knows what would have happened as a Jet?
Yeah, right.
All right. Any other bombshells? We got a few minutes remaining in the show today. Any other bombshells you can think of that have dropped?
No, I'm ready to put all this in the past. Preseason's over. Let's go. I'm ready for
all right. Me too. So what about some fallout? Because we do a wins pool, right? So we have 10 people. We pick 3 teams each. Whoever picks the 3 teams that have the most wins the pot of money. We started this at the beginning of August, and obviously the Colts went rather early.
Yeah,
my brother-in-law got screwed. So
well, if you ask Bud thinks the Patriots are going 15-1. So.
They were the first pick again because they're the only team guaranteed for 11 or 12 wins every year. So
even if they don't go 15-1, Phil, they're easily going to go 12-4.
Yeah, probably. No, I agree. I agree with you.
So you basically got out unscathed in your fantasy draft, huh? Because all this news dropped pre. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
No, but it's a keeper league, so somebody kept Andrew Luck prior to the whole announcement. So
yeah,
that person lost his 5th round pick because that's where Andrew Luck was drafted last year.
Really?
And by the way, Dan, you wanted to see the trophy. Here it is.
That's pretty.
You see that? That's my name on there.
Oh, you went to town with that trophy. That's nice.
Not bad.
Not like in what was the fantasy football show? I love that they had a crappy ass trophy.
the league. That was the greatest show in history. I love that show.
So good.
The Shiva. It was the Shiva.
Yes. So yeah, my brother also kept Andrew Luck. He didn't get totally screwed. He was a cheap keeper, but we don't draft till Labor Day, so I don't know what my team looks like just yet.
That's smart.
I did keep Zeke, but it looks like he'll start. So I'm hoping for an injury-free season out of him.
We'll see.
So I'll let you circle back around, Bud, to your New York Jets rant and that ill-fated Drew Brees drive. Since you had a lot bottled up there and we got a couple minutes left, I don't have any other things to talk about.
Again, I don't harp too much on preseason football because it doesn't. You're not really playing real schemes. You're not really strategizing. You're just going out there and kind of getting your feel for things. But I will tell you this: their defenses looked awful this preseason, awful. And if they can't figure this out, they're going to get chewed up. The GM better figure out how to get some outside linebacker help. He needs to figure out who's going to cover these people in cornerback play. They were getting hemorrhaged by Teddy Bridgewater. Even the second string. So if you mean to tell me that if the first string people get hurt, the second string people are going to get thrown in there, right? I mean, that's just the nature of football. They were getting carved up by Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, this is not – it's not good. First offense doesn't look terrible. I think they look pretty decent. But I can't take another year of this. I mean, and if Greg Williams is supposed to be this defensive guru that everybody's claiming and Rich Cimini is like, oh, he's going to figure it out. He's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
He better figure it out for week 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Or else it's going to be a very, very long year. Very long year. And I don't remember who the Jets have week 1. As a matter of fact, hold on, I got my sheet right here. Hold on.
Buffalo.
They have Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what Buffalo is?
Yeah, Buffalo's Josh Allen running the ball as far as we know. So.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. So I don't know. I don't want to take too much stock in it, but I just you know how I am.
I do, and it's troubling, but I still have faith till I see a real regular season football game. You know how I am.
Well, but if they come out against Buffalo and they lay an egg and their defense is getting carved up and they can't scheme like they did last year against Josh Allen, where Josh Allen, like, you knew he was going to run, and he just started running circles around everybody right down the field. If they can't figure this out, boy.
I agree with you because their next 3 games is a real tough one. They got New England, I think Philadelphia, and
Cleveland.
So
Cleveland, New England, and then they have a bye early. They have a bye a week.
Then they get Philadelphia after the bye. That's what it is.
Philadelphia, Dallas, New England, and Jacksonville.
It's a tough.
You could be 1-6.
Yes, they need to win the Buffalo game. That's what I'm saying. They got to win that week 1 game. It's like a must win.
Yeah, if you don't win the Buffalo game, they could be 0-7.
All right. So let's not get too down the rabbit hole. Phil, I know you got a lot of praise for Daniel Jones. What you saw out of him, it's just preseason. What's your take on him and the Eli Manning situation?
My take on all those people that were against him are all phonies. They are complete and utter phonies. They were all yelling and screaming that he shouldn't have been picked when he was picked. That debate is ridiculous. Now all these guys are like, oh my God, maybe he's actually good. Again, preseason, he still went 25 for 30 and 2 touchdowns and 300+ yards. That's not bad. All right? It's not like he went there and crapped the bed. He did what he was supposed to do. He did what he was asked to do. And now all these guys are like, well, maybe he should start week 1. They're all phonies. All phonies.
Well, and it's fair to say he's significantly outplayed Kyler Murray, who has a lot more.
Kyler Murray's going to have a long year. Long year.
I mean, my feeling is you need to pick the quarterback that's right for the offense that you plan to run, or you need to change your offense to meet the quarterback.
It's true. Right.
And so if the Giants did seem to have done that, then that's going to work out well for them. So I think we'll see Daniel Jones at some point this season, but I don't know how early.
I hope not, personally, because that means we're winning. But it probably will happen at some point.
We were talking about this, Phil, on the car ride to play golf yesterday, and we were kind of thinking that if the season goes bad, you're probably more than likely going to see him against Arizona.
Right, after the bye. Or no, after the Thursday night game.
After the Thursday night game against New England.
I got to believe if the season goes well that we're still going to see him by November. Like,
But why? If the season's going well, then there's no reason to put him in. If
he's an upgrade over Eli, it's worth it.
It all depends how we start. If they start 0-3 or 0-4 or 1-4, 1-5, then it's going to happen. If they start 4-1, God forbid, because their first 4 games are, and especially if there's no Zeke week 1 and you steal that game, then you play Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Washington. You could be 4-0 if you steal that first game. It's possible. It's possible.
Well, we'll end on that high note for your Giants.
I'm the optimistic one. As we all know, Bud's a little more the pessimist. So
we'll see if we sneak another show in before the kickoff next Thursday night. All right, guys. Good talking with you.
All right, bye.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo.